Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Lauren Proctor and I would like to cordially thank you for attending my session here at the 2018 PPCEO Conference. The title of my session is The Shocking Curve in the Makeup of the Psychological Mind. So let's dive in. As biological professionals, we are challenged each and every day to experiment deeper into the world of science. Therefore, during this session, I will be challenging all of us to unveil the underlying reason of autonomic dysfunction. We will discuss nerve makeup, symptom prevention, and how we can test autonomic dysfunction itself. So let's dive in. According to biologydictionary.com, the autonomic nervous system can be defined as a complex set of neurons that mediate internal homeostasis without conscious intervention or voluntary control. Therefore, there are a lot of functions that can relate this topic to science. One example being that it involves the makeup of human anatomy. However, this topic also relates to psychology in the matter of nerve makeup and involuntary actions. Some common functions of such a complex system are controlling the cardiovascular system, influencing digestive efficiency, and shutting down most non-essential parts of the body in the overall nerve makeup. However, there is a certain way in which autonomic dysfunction occurs in the autonomic nervous system itself. Overall, autonomic dysfunction is the damage of nerves in the autonomic nervous system. This damaging occurrence happens in the overall nerve makeup of the body. Therefore, the nerves that control involuntary bodily functions are damaged. The nerve damage then interferes with the messages being sent throughout the body. Overall, the nerve makeup of the body is very complex, but through autonomic dysfunction, a small, simple effect can have a huge impact on the entire body. However, we as biological professionals need to explore more into the world of symptom prevention through this disease. Listed on this slide are some common symptoms that can occur when one is suffering from autonomic dysfunction itself. However, my objective is how we can prevent these symptoms from occurring. What are some tasks or techniques that we can implement to live a more healthier lifestyle? Some important steps need to be taken to achieve this healthy lifestyle. First, if you struggle with diabetes, you need to constantly keep up and record your sugar intake. You need to gain responsibility. This is a vital implementation because if it is not taken seriously or withheld to a certain level, the body's level will become affected by sugar tolerance, which then in turn affects the mind, which then affects the whole body. Secondly, we need to avoid alcohol and smoking at all costs. I know this can be hard to those who are already addicted to one of these substances, but it is so harmful to our bodies. Not only can autonomic dysfunction occur through smoking or consuming alcohol, but also many other health effects. Therefore, there's no benefit for us in drinking or smoking. It's just going to lead to a negative outcome. So we need to avoid it at all costs. Next is controlling your blood pressure. You can do this by simply taking the meds that your doctor prescribed, reducing your sodium intake, living a more healthy life, and a healthy workout. You can do this by a simple run, a simple walk, whatever you prefer to do. By decreasing your stress, stress is very detrimental to our lives, and we need to decrease it as much as we possibly can to avoid all the health effects that can happen. And last, we need to decrease our caffeine intake to control our blood pressure, because of the sugar, of course. Last, we can achieve and maintain a healthy weight. We can do this through healthy eating habits. I personally am from the South, and it's very hard for me to stay away from carbohydrates, but we do need to stay away from them and also processed food to then achieve a healthy weight in the overall outcome. Overall, by keeping watch and gaining control and responsibility of our own bodies, we can help in the prevention of autonomic dysfunction. Last but not least, we will discuss a scientist's favorite part, experimentation and testing of autonomic dysfunction. With a disease such as autonomic dysfunction, your personal test that you need depend on your symptoms and risk to the disease itself. Therefore, there are two categories of testing that one can fall under. First is when you have known risk factors for autonomic dysfunction. For example, if you struggle with diabetes or blood pressure that we discussed before, you are at a higher risk for the disease. However, it is kind of beneficial because you do know your risk and you do know the steps that you need to take to not get this disease or to progress your disease. But your doctor will perform a physical exam and ask about your symptoms. However, there is some cancer medication that does cause autonomic dysfunction. But if you are taking this medication, you will be tested more than often by your doctor. Next is when you don't have known risk factors. If you fall under this category, the diagnosis becomes more involved. For example, a doctor will examine every aspect of your medical history and the symptoms of your physical exam. As we know, autonomic dysfunction is based off unconscious behaviors. Therefore, these tests are based on unconscious behaviors. To begin, we have the common breathing test. This is to see how your body reacts when performing exercise. This can be through your heart rate or your blood pressure. Secondly, we have the tilt table test. This is when your body is put in different positions to see how your heart rate and blood pressure change. If you look at the picture on the slide, you can see how the woman is moved to different positions to then in turn test her heart rate and her blood pressure. However, if the process of increasing your heart rate to resolve your blood pressure is slowed, you more than likely have autonomic dysfunction. Next is gastrointestinal testing. This is the most common test for digestive analysis. You will get this test if you are struggling with slow digestion or delayed emptiness of the stomach. This is usually done by a specialist in this category. And last but not least is thermoregulatory sweat test. This is when you are covered in powder that does change colors when you sweat. You will be put into a chamber where the temperature is slowly increasing, and digital photos will be taken of you to document your results. Your sweat pattern can really help confirm a diagnosis of autonomic dysfunction. Therefore, by improving our experimentation of these certain tests, we could get closer to overall prevention of autonomic dysfunction. These tests are so important. People, we do not need to wait. These tests need to be done. You don't want to wait because it might be too late. Overall, autonomic dysfunction is a detrimental disease. It can cause heartache to families and all those affected. Therefore, as biological professionals, I hope you have understood the complexity and damaging effects of this disease. Therefore, I hope to see us all set out to be more healthy for ourselves, but also for others. And never forget, as a scientist, to stop experimenting or exploring. Thank you so much for your time.